The necklace was in your bag.
Then someone put it there, because I never touched it.
This isn't right, and you know it.
Amara Johnson had learned a long time ago that some rooms were never meant to feel like home, even when you spent more hours in them than the people who owned them. The Han penthouse was beautiful, marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the city that made tourists stop and stare. But to Amara, it was just a place she cleaned, quietly, carefully, invisibly. 2 years. Not one complaint. Not one broken vase, not one late shift, not one excuse. And then in a single night, all of that meant nothing. The necklace disappeared from Elise Han's dressing room during a family dinner. Within an hour, security had found it in Amara's bag. She didn't put it there. She knew that. But knowing something and proving it are very different things when you're the only Black woman on staff in a family that has never once bothered to learn how you take your coffee. Han Jian-woo didn't even look at her when he said the words. The necklace was in your bag. Amara didn't flinch. Then someone put it there because I never touched it. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The decision had already been made before she opened her mouth. Grace Osei watched from the hallway as Amara folded her uniform into a bag that used to hold textbooks, back when Amara still believed she'd finish nursing school instead of postponing it, semester after semester, to keep her mother's medical bills paid. This isn't right and you know it, Grace said. Amara didn't answer. She had learned that arguing with people who've already decided your guilt only makes you look more guilty. She left that night in the rain, with nothing but a termination letter and 2 years of her life folded into a bag too small to hold what she'd actually lost. If you already don't trust Elise, subscribe now, because the truth in that journal is only the beginning. 3 days later, in a house that suddenly felt too quiet without his father in it, Han Jian-woo sat down at the old mahogany desk he hadn't touched since the funeral. He wasn't looking for anything. He was avoiding everything else. But his hand found a drawer that stuck, the way it always had, and behind it, wedged where it had clearly been hidden on purpose, was a leather journal. His father's handwriting filled every page. Meetings, regrets, private thoughts never meant for the company's official history. And then, near the end, one entry stopped him cold. A name, Johnson. Not a business contact. Not an employee record. A debt. His father had written, "If I am gone before I repay her, find Grace Johnson's daughter. The debt is not money. It is her mother's life for mine." Jian-woo read it 3 times before the memory surfaced. A car accident decades ago, a hospital, a nurse's aide who gave up her own transfusion slot so a stranger could live. That stranger had been his father, and the woman he'd just fired, without a second glance, was that nurse's daughter. The shame hit him before the guilt fully did. He had spent 2 years walking past the daughter of the woman who saved his father's life, and he had never once learned her name properly. He'd fired her over a piece of jewelry she never touched, jewelry that, according to the household security logs Detective Mateo Reyes pulled the next morning, had never actually left Elise's dressing room drawer at all. The necklace in Amara's bag had been a different piece, a plant, and the only person with access to both rooms that night, and a growing gambling debt the company's auditors were quietly circling, was Elise Han. If you're already trying to figure out what's really in that journal, subscribe, because the biggest reveal is still coming. Jian-woo found Amara 3 days later, not in the penthouse, but in the small apartment she shared with her recovering mother. He didn't come with an apology on a card or a check to make the problem disappear. He came with the journal, She read her mother's name in his father's handwriting, and for the first time since the accusation, she let herself cry. Not from humiliation this time, but from the strange, aching relief of being seen. Grace had never told her daughter what she did that night at the hospital. She'd never wanted credit for it, but somehow, without meaning to, she had left her daughter a debt that no amount of money could repay, because it was never about money at all. "I'm not here to give you your job back," Jian-woo told her on the balcony, where the whole company could see them if they looked. "I'm here to ask if there's any way you could forgive a family that took your dignity before they gave you the truth." Amara looked at him for a long moment, feeling the sunset warm across marble that had never once felt like home to her. "You didn't take my dignity," she said. "You just showed me how little some people were willing to see it. That's different. And it's something you can still choose to fix. Not for your father's debt, but because it's right." If this story has already surprised you, subscribe, because what happens next changes everything. Elise Han was quietly removed from her position within the week, the gambling debts and the falsified expense reports impossible to hide once anyone actually looked. Amara didn't return to the penthouse as staff. She returned to finish the nursing degree she'd paused, this time with a scholarship funded, anonymously, at first by the Han Family Foundation, a debt finally repaid the way her mother would have wanted it, quietly, and without asking for anything back. Jian-woo waited. He didn't rush her, didn't assume the truth about the journal owed him a second chance at anything more than her forgiveness. But 2 years later, when Amara walked across the stage in her white coat, there was one man in the audience who had learned, finally, what it meant to actually see someone, not because of a debt written in his father's hand, but because he'd chosen to.